If you're in your 20s or just starting to trade, this video is for you. I'm not here to flex, I'm here to tell you about what actually moved the needle for me when I was coming up. I made my first million in my early 20s, and most of what helped me get there, no one was talking about it. So let's cut the BS. Let me show you what actually matters. Here's what I'm gonna break down. 10 lessons that helped me hit 7 figures. Stuff that's deeper than trading. This is about how you move, how you think, and how you hold your ground. And what I wish someone would have told me before I ever made $1. Let's get into it. Lesson 1, build skill capital first. Before I ever saw a real payout, I built a skill set first. I was studying price action like it was a sport. I journaled trades that weren't even mine. Watched market open every day, even when I wasn't trading. If you're trying to make money without edge, that's not trading, that's guessing. My routine was religious. I was up before the sun, 5:30 a.m. every single day. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to show what the market looked like while the rest of the world was still asleep. I'd sit at my desk, pull up the pre-market movers, map out key levels, and prep like I was about to play in a championship game. No distractions, no skipping days. Even if I wasn't trading, I showed up and watched. Then after the close, I'd journal every single day. Not just the trades I took, but the ones I didn't take too. I'd write what I saw, how I felt, and what I missed, because I wasn't just trying to catch a move. I was trying to understand the why behind every candle. I was obsessed with understanding price action, how price reacted to levels, how volume confirmed or denied the move, and how structure told you the real story when the headlines were just noise. I didn't care about 10 different indicators. I wanted to learn how to read the tape. I'd watch how a stock opened, how it pulled back, and how it built up pressure. I wanted to know the difference between a fake out and a breakout. This obsession became my filter. I stopped chasing everything and focused on one setup until I could call it in real time. It wasn't exciting, but it was real. That kind of clarity, that's what separates traders who last, the ones who flame out. There was no mentor handing me a playbook. I didn't wait for someone to give me permission. I built my own structure. I created a checklist, I graded my setups, I reviewed my trades like a coach watches film. I set rules and held myself accountable, even when no one was watching. Especially then, it wasn't about discipline for discipline's sake. It was because I knew if I didn't respect my own process, the market definitely wouldn't respect me. And over time, that structure became my foundation. It's the only reason I didn't fold when losses came, because I had a process to fall back on. Lesson 2, the network speeds everything up. The right people will collapse your timeline. One conversation can save you 2 years of pain. This isn't about who you know, it's about the quality of the info you're plugged into. Early on, I remember connecting with someone who had been trading for over a decade. Quiet dude, didn't post much, but sharp as hell. One day, he told me straight up, "You're not early, you're just impulsive." That line hit me like a brick because I realized I wasn't actually developing patience. I was just trying to be first all the time. That convo shifted how I approached setups. I started waiting for confirmation, I slowed down, my entries got tighter, and my losses got smaller. My confidence grew, all from one conversation. That line collapsed years of bad habits for me. That's the power of having the right voice in your corner. Most people are just recycling information. They talk in hindsight. They flex with no context, or worse, they give advice they don't follow themselves. So I learned to ask, does this person ever post a P&L? Can they explain their process clearly? Are they accountable when they're wrong? If the answer was no, I tuned them out. The real ones, they don't just talk about profits. They talk about process. They teach you how to think, not just what to copy. And that's the kind of network you want. Whether it's one person or a small group, tap in with people who make you sharper just by being around them. The bottom line, your network should compress time, not waste it. Find the people who've already been through what you're going through and listen with intention, because sometimes all it takes is one insight to change your entire trajectory. Lesson 3, focus is a superpower. The hardest part isn't what to do, it's blocking out the unnecessary. I skipped the parties, I ghosted distractions, I made my life boring on purpose. I said no to a lot. Nights out, weekend trips, group chats that were all talk, no growth. Not because I thought I was better than anyone, but because I knew what I wanted and I knew what it was gonna take. I wasn't trying to balance everything, I was trying to win. And to win, I had to protect my bandwidth. I cut out anything that pulled energy away from the mission, even if it was fun, even if it looked harmless. There were plenty of nights where I'd see stories of people out laughing, living it up, and I felt that sting of, am I missing out? But deep down, I knew if I stay locked in now, I'll live a life they won't even be able to imagine later. So instead of chasing dopamine, I chased discipline. Instead of chasing moments, I built momentum. It wasn't easy, but every time I chose focus over fun, I was stacking bricks towards something bigger than one night out. People overlook simplicity because it's not loud, but when you're really locked in, your life should feel simple. Wake up, study, trade, journal, repeat. That loop over and over again is what sharpened me. I wasn't trying to optimize everything. I just needed to get really good at one thing. And you remove the extra noise. You'd be shocked at how fast your growth compounds. At the end of the day, focus isn't easy, but it's the real cheat code. Discipline will make you disappear for a season, but when you pop back up, you're gonna be unrecognizable. Lesson 4, fast money will break you. The second I stopped chasing fast cash, real money started showing up. Every time I rushed it, I hit a loss. Back in 2015, I took a heavy position in Amazon. I was coming off a winning streak I thought I couldn't miss. I sized big, ignored risk, and entered without a real plan, just confidence and cockiness. Within days, I was down 30% on my account. I lost $150,000 on that trade. That was a turning point because in that moment, I realized I wasn't invincible. I was undisciplined. It wasn't the trade that broke me, it was my own ego. That loss taught me more than any win ever could. From that moment forward, I learned to respect size. I learned to never let emotions hit the buy or sell button. And I promised myself I'd never give the market that kind of control over me again. Fast money, it doesn't just disappear quickly. It teaches you the wrong lessons. You hit one lucky trade, you size up, and suddenly you think that's the formula. Now you're chasing every move, skipping your process, telling yourself it's working until it doesn't. The problem is you're winning on bad behavior. And when that stops working, and it always does, you're left with no foundation, no structure, no system, just broken confidence and habits that don't serve you. That's what happened to me. Before that Amazon loss, I thought I was building momentum, but what I was really building was fragility. Every time I rushed a trade, I wasn't sharpening my edge, I was dulling it. Every time I sized up on emotion, I wasn't becoming a better trader. I was becoming a more dangerous one to myself. Trying to speedrun this game only guarantees one thing. You'll end up right back at the start, but this time with less capital and more baggage. What saved me after that Amazon hit was simple. I stopped swinging for home runs. I sized down, I studied my edge. I started stacking small wins and building confidence back from the ground up. My process became sacred. Every entry had to be clean, every size had to be justified. No revenge trades, no chasing. That slow, intentional rebuild is what made me solid. The bottom line, fast money is a trap. It gives you a taste, then wipes you out. But when you build with patience and clarity, that's when your growth becomes real and sustainable. The market doesn't reward urgency, it rewards discipline. Lesson 5, trading shows you who you are. The market's a mirror. It'll show you your fear, your greed, your need to be right. In 2018, I took a heavy SPX trade. I was confident in the setup, and when it started going against me, I didn't flinch. Instead of cutting it, I averaged down and I told myself, it'll come back, I know I'm right. But the truth was, I wasn't managing a trade, I was defending my ego. Every candle that went against me was a chance to walk away, and I refused. Because in my mind, stopping out meant I lost. I watched that trade unwind 2 solid months of profit, all in one move. Not because the market beat me, but because I couldn't admit I was wrong. That was a hard pill to swallow. But that moment exposed something in me that needs to be fixed. My need to be right at all costs. After that, I made a decision. No trade is worth your peace. No setup is worth your whole month. Cut the noise, cut the loss, and move on. Emotional control didn't happen overnight. It was something I had to train, just like any other skill. One of the biggest shifts I made, I started sizing for zero. I stopped entering trades with the mindset of this better work and started thinking, the trade goes to zero, I'm still good. That simple shift removed the panic. It allowed me to stay clear-headed because I was never putting myself in a position where a single loss could rattle me. I also started journaling how I felt before entering, not just what I saw on the chart. If I noticed I was chasing, frustrated, or bored, I wouldn't trade. And most importantly, I detached my identity from the outcome. A red trade didn't mean I failed. A green one didn't mean I was a genius. Over time, I wasn't reacting emotionally anymore. I was operating from clarity, discipline, and conviction. Look, anyone can learn entries and exits. You can copy a setup, you can follow alerts. But psychology, that's internal. You could have the best strategy in the world, but if you can't control your impulses, manage your risk, or trust your process, it won't matter. The real edge, it's between your ears. Because the longer you trade, the more you realize you're not just trading against the market, you're trading against yourself. And mastering that battle, that's what separates a trader from a gambler. Lesson 6, learn to sit still. Boredom is dangerous. It's where most people blow up. Just because you're sitting at your desk doesn't mean there's a trade. I built a routine that didn't rely on action. Every morning, I prep my levels, I run my watch list, and I write out a clear plan. If nothing lines up with that plan, I don't force it. Some days, I'm done in 10 minutes, and I'm okay with that now. Because trading isn't about doing something, it's about waiting for the right thing. I'll still stay at my desk, review charts, log notes from prior days, or study price action from the open. But I'm not looking for reasons to trade. I'm watching to sharpen my awareness for when it's time. Instead of forcing trades, I use slow sessions to practice presence. I meditate daily, not for some spiritual flex, but because learning to calm your mind translates directly into trading. You can't sit still with your thoughts. You'll struggle to sit still with your capital. On slow days, I'll stay zoned in and study price action in real time, especially during chop and consolidation. I take notes on how volume behaves, how price coils, and how the market traps traders before a breakout or breakdown. This is where most traders tune out, but this is exactly where you sharpen your edge. Because if you can learn to differentiate chop from momentum, you'll stop entering during noise and start entering when it actually matters. It's not about being active, it's about being intentional. And that skill, it only develops when you train your focus without needing to act. At first, boredom felt like failure, like I wasn't doing enough. But over time, I learned boredom is a sign your discipline is working. Most traders lose because they can't handle inactivity. But when you master the art of sitting still, you start seeing things with clarity. You conserve your energy, your capital, and your focus for the moments that actually matter. And when that clean setup finally shows up, you're ready, not rattled. Trading isn't about doing more. It's about waiting longer, thinking clear, and moving smarter. Learn to sit still. That's when you stop trading like an amateur and start moving like a pro. Lesson 7, risk identity. You're not risking cash, you're risking your identity, your reputation, and your narrative. A 2K loss is one thing, but what does it do to how you view yourself? When I first started trading, every dollar felt heavy. $300 loss would ruin my whole day. $1,000 win would have me on top of the world. But the longer you trade, the more wins and losses you truly sit through, the more you start to become desensitized to the P&L. You realize it's not the number that matters, it's how you got there. Over time, that number just becomes data. It becomes feedback on your execution, not a definition of your worth. As my account grew, I could take a 5K or even 10K loss and still feel calm. Not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood. Risk is part of the job. Emotional overreaction isn't. I started sizing for logic, not emotion. My decisions were based on edge, not ego. In that emotional freedom, that's when trading becomes clear. You stop reacting to money like it's a scoreboard, and you start treating it like a tool. That shift changed everything for me. As my trades got bigger, the pressure to keep winning crept in. Now, it wasn't just about money. It was about protecting my image, my confidence, and the idea that I had it all figured out. But I had to remind myself, you're not your last trade, you're your process. I had to stay grounded. Same journaling, same review habits, same checklist. No matter how many wins I stacked, I kept acting like I had something to prove to myself, not to anyone else. I remember a time I took a loss in front of a group of newer traders who looked up to me. It wasn't a massive hit financially, but it shook me because I wasn't just managing risk, I was managing perception. The voice in my head said, you just lost in front of a group of people. You're supposed to be the one who doesn't mess up. This moment reminded me, I can't trade to protect an identity. I have to trade to protect my edge. And if I'm walking in integrity, I don't need every trade to be a win. I just need every trade to be right by my rules. The bottom line, risk isn't just numbers on a screen. It's tied to how you see yourself. And if you're not careful, you'll start managing your narrative instead of managing your account. Protect your capital, but more importantly, protect your identity by staying aligned with the process that built you in the first place. Lesson 8, one stream over 10. Everyone wants multiple streams, but you don't need 10 different things. You need one that works. Go deep before you go wide. You can't get good at one thing if you're doing 8 different things. Early on, I made a choice. I wasn't gonna spread myself thin chasing everything that looked like an opportunity. I focused all my energy on learning one skill, trading. Every hour I had went to studying price action, refining my edge, and understanding how the game really works. And once I had that base, once I built something real, then I could build on top of it. That clarity and commitment gave me momentum. And momentum is what eventually created options, because I had earned depth and not just dabbled in surface level hustle. If you're trying to juggle 5 hustles and none of them are bringing in real money, you're not building multiple streams. You're building distraction. You're splitting your time, your energy, and your potential across things that haven't even had the chance to mature. Here's the truth. Mastery compounds, but you only get compounded returns from something you actually stick with. Pick one lane, go deep, learn the game inside out. Then, if you want to branch out, do it from a place of strength, not from desperation. When you go deep, you gain leverage. Deep skill gives you the credibility, the capital, and the clarity to create other streams later without chasing. My trading journey didn't just teach me charts, it taught me discipline, self-awareness, risk management, brand building. All of that became transferable equity. Now I can expand intentionally because I built my foundation the right way. Lesson 9, most quit before it gets good. Year 1 is messy, most tap out. Year 2, that's where things click. Compounding doesn't show up right away, but when it does, it's loud. There was a stretch early on where I just couldn't find consistency. One good week followed by 2 red ones. Every time I felt like I was getting it, the market would humble me again. I remember sitting at my desk one night, charts open, journal next to me, thinking, maybe I'm not built for this. That phase almost broke me, not because I couldn't learn, but because I expected success too early. I was chasing certainty in a game that rewards adaptability. What kept me in was perspective. I stopped measuring success in dollars and I started measuring it in clarity. Did I follow my plan today? Did I execute with discipline? Did I manage risk even if the trade didn't work? That became the new scoreboard. And over time, those small wins, the ones no one sees, started stacking. Not just in my P&L, but in my confidence. That's what kept me going even when it felt like I wasn't winning yet. The shift came when I realized I wasn't reacting anymore. I was responding. I stopped forcing trades. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. I'd see a setup, wait for confirmation, enter with purpose, and walk away knowing I did my job. That's when I knew I got this. Not because I was making 6 figures a month yet, but because I finally trusted myself. That's the real turning point. It's not when you hit a big trade, it's when you realize you built something solid inside of you that no one can take away. So if you're in that early phase right now, messy, frustrated, unsure, don't quit. Most people give up right before it gets good. Stick around long enough to see what compounding really feels like. Lesson 10, the real flex is freedom. It's not about the cars or the fancy dinners, it's waking up when you want. Trading if you feel like it. Walking away when you don't. That's freedom. When I hit 7 figures, I expected some kind of finish line feeling like this is it. What I actually felt was space. Freedom. I started looking at time differently. I wasn't asking how much can I make this week. I was asking how much time can I get back? How much peace can I have? Because success stopped being about stacking more dollars. It started being about how I used my hours, my energy, my focus. I didn't want a schedule full of trades. I wanted options. To sleep in without stress, to close a laptop early and go for a drive, to spend an entire day unplugged and not feel like I was falling behind. The money was great, but the real payoff was freedom of choice. And once I tasted that, I realized I wasn't chasing wealth. I was chasing ownership of my life. What matters to me now is how I live. Do I feel at peace? Am I moving with intention? Trading gave me the income, sure, but more importantly, it gave me the optionality, time with my people, room to think, space to create. I'm not chasing dopamine anymore. I'm chasing alignment. I used to think the goal was excitement, those huge green days, the adrenaline rush of a risky trade, but the deeper I got in this game, the more I realized peace is the real win. Anyone can chase chaos. If you can sit in stillness and feel full, when you reach that level where you're not trading for validation or survival, you're trading because you choose to, that's freedom, and that's the real flex. So yeah, buy the car if you want, take the trip, but just know the loudest luxury isn't on a wrist or in a garage, it's living on your terms. And that's what this game is really about. Looking back, the money changed my life, but the habits, they made it stick. If you give this 3 solid months and just lock in, you'll change your life. Then it turns into 6 months, then a year. Then that becomes who you are. This isn't about trying to make $1 million overnight. It's about building like someone who's gonna have it and not giving up before it happens. Subscribe and comment on your biggest trading goal, and I'll be picking 2 people to receive a free membership for 3 months. If you're serious about trading options, hit the link below. Let's get to work.